So I think we're going to move on to our next video case. And this is a technique that's been under a lot of discussion in the last year or two. And we're going to be having a case from India, from Dr. Amol Bape, um, from the Shivanand Desai Center for Digestive Disorders and the Dinanath Mangeshkar Hospital in Pune, India. Unfortunately, Dr. Bape was not able to join us live, but he has shared his video case with us, and he's going to be sharing his experience on POEM with fundoplication. We'll have that video case next.
Good afternoon. Greetings from India. My name is Amol Bapaye from the Dinanath Mangeshkar Hospital at Pune. A big thank you to Dr. Mihir Wagh and his team for this kind invitation. Let me begin by sharing my slides. Today we are going to discuss about POEM plus F, or endoscopic fundoplication following POEM. No relevant disclosures. Peroral endoscopic myotomy was described a decade ago, and this procedure has taken the endoscopy world by storm. POEM has become highly popular as a procedure of choice for achalasia at many centers. Outcomes have been excellent with an overall efficacy of around 90%. Reflux has been reported variably in many series, starting from 6% to 58%. Some hard facts about post-POEM reflux. Post-POEM reflux has emerged as a growing concern during recent years, although earlier studies did not report so much of reflux. Chronic consequences are infrequent, but they do occur, particularly strictures or Barrett's. And surgeons have always debated that we as endoscopists do not add an anti-reflux procedure to the POEM. Can we do something to address this issue? Presently, treatment of post-POEM reflux, standard of care is PPI therapy. PPI should be administered for about 2 years after POEM. Anti-reflux surgery has occasionally been reported, and endoscopic anti-reflux procedures have also been reported, particularly the POEM plus transoral incisionless fundoplication, or POEM plus fundoplication, or peroral endoscopic fundoplication, which we are going to discuss today. Inouye described the first POEM plus fundoplication, and the principle is based on the creation of a partial DAR fundoplication after a laparoscopic Heller myotomy. An anterior partial fundoplication is created endoscopically immediately following the POEM procedure. Diagrammatically, we perform an anterior POEM, and after an anterior POEM and a full thickness myotomy, the serosa overlying the anterior wall of the stomach is opened and the endoscope is advanced into the peritoneal cavity. The entire procedure is monitored using a transnasal ultraslim gastroscope, which is placed in the fundus and retroflexed. An endoloop is fixed to the gastric fundus on the anterior wall, and the proximal end of the endoloop is fixed within the tunnel, and the endoloop is tightened to create a partial anterior wrap. What do we need as equipment for the procedure? Majority of the equipment and the workup remains very similar to that what is needed for POEM. Some additional instruments, a transnasal ultraslim gastroscope along with a separate carbon dioxide insufflator and monitor is needed. An insulated tip or an IT2 knife comes handy. Several additional clips will be required for fixing the endoloop. We need an endoloop with the applicator and an endoscopic scissors or a loop cutter to trim the loop. Abdominal paracentesis is a rule after this procedure, so we need instruments to be able to perform the paracentesis. How is the procedure performed? This is the dilated esophagus with the tight LES. The procedure begins as a standard anterior POEM at 12 o'clock. A mucosal bleb is raised. A mucosal incision is taken and a submucosal tunnel is created along the length of the esophagus, extending beyond the gastroesophageal junction for approximately 2 centimeters onto the gastric side. Following this, a full thickness myotomy is now performed, which is again extended into the gastric side for about 2 centimeters. This is the diaphragm or the crus of the diaphragm that we can see over here, and this is the gastric side and the myotomy extending on the gastric side. Once this procedure has been done, a transnasal scope is positioned into the fundus of the stomach, and transillumination is performed. Here we can see that the light of the gastroscope inside the tunnel is seen in the PIP view on the gastric side by using the transnasal endoscope. Once we have confirmed our position, this is the subserosal fat and the peritoneum. This is dissected carefully using a coag grasper, using a coagulation current to ensure that there is no bleeding, and the peritoneum is opened. You can see the left lobe of the liver appearing here now. There is still a thin layer of peritoneum overlying that. So this is picked up and it is opened. There we can see that the peritoneum has now been opened up. Now we use an insulated tip knife in order to prevent injury to the liver. Some small burn can still occur, but then that is of doubtful consequence. The peritoneal incision is now opened and the endoscope is now advanced into the peritoneal cavity. The procedure is continuously monitored using the transnasal scope, which you can see in the PIP view. Using a foreign body forceps, we catch hold of the fundus after turning the scope leftwards and upwards so that we grab part of the fundus close to the splenic hilum. Care should be taken not to take any fat, because that can lacerate and can cause bleeding. We grab the fundus, part of the fundus, after taking a good bite, and pull it back into the tunnel to simulate a wrap, and we can see over here that a nice wrap is being formed. Once we are confident and comfortable with this position of anchoring the endoloop, we go back into the peritoneal cavity, release the foreign body forceps from the fundus, and use a triangular tip knife to mark this site using a coagulation current onto the fundus. We now carry an endoloop. We carry an endoloop captured in an endoclip within the scope, but the endoloop is lying outside, and we go through the tunnel, through the peritoneal opening into the peritoneal cavity using the gastroscope. The endoloop is now fixed onto the fundus of the stomach using this clip. Care should be taken that the bite should be really nice and big, and thick bite should be taken, because otherwise there can be laceration when we close the endoloop. Another thing is we need to apply at least three or four clips to distribute the tension. We don't want the tension to be at one point. So here in this case we have applied 3 clips. One can also apply 4 clips as Inouye has described. So these are the endoclips applied in the fundic side. We now go on to anchor the proximal end of the endoloop at the distal end of the tunnel and the myotomy. So we usually will fix this endoloop to the edge of the peritoneal incision as well as to the edge of the myotomy. Again, 3 clips are applied. The clips are pushed away so that they don't come in between the endoloop while closing the endoloop. Here we are using a reconstrainable endoloop. This becomes very handy, but in case this is not available, one can also use the standard endoloop, but one has to carry the applicator down through the tunnel. The endoloop is now tightened gradually and slowly, and in a minute we will see that the wrap is being formed. Once we are sure about the complete closure of the endoloop is released and the tails are trimmed using a loop cutter. The extra loop is pulled out. The tail of the endoloop and the plastic sheath is now pushed into the peritoneal cavity and away from the mucosa so that it does not erode into the mucosa. This can sometimes be quite painstaking because there is very limited space, but if performed carefully, it goes in very easily. Here we can see that the tip of the endoloop is now covered with some tissue, so this will prevent any erosion. And now we pull back the scope, we close the mucosal incision using clips, and that is the final wrap that you can see. So in the first study by Inouye, they performed POEMF in 21 patients with 100% technical success. Procedure time included the fundoplication time, which was around 50 minutes. There were no adverse events, and the wrap was maintained at 3-month follow-up in 95% patients. The conclusion was that POEMF was safe and feasible. Inouye has also described an alternative technique where a suture with a pledget is used instead of a loop and clip technique for creating this wrap. We reported our experience of 25 patients in a single center retrospective analysis. All patients were proven achalasia. Post-procedure follow-up was performed using endoscopy, PS studies and GERD-Q scores. These were our results. POEM was performed in all patients, but POEMF failed in 2 patients because of technical issues. The mean total procedure time was 115 minutes, but it improved significantly after the initial 5 cases. Mean additional time for fundoplication was around 46 minutes, and all patients responded to the POEM procedure with significant reduction of the ECARD scores. There were no adverse events in the perioperative period. Minor delayed adverse events in 3 patients, which included erosion of the endoloop or clip with no clinical consequences. Evaluation of reflux during the follow-up was the most important parameter in our study. GERD-Q scores more than 8 or clinically significant GERD was seen in only 1 patient, about 4%. The wrap integrity was maintained in 82% patients at the end of a mean 12-month follow-up. PS studies were performed in 18 patients, abnormal DMISTA scores along with abnormal acid exposure times in 2 patients, that is around 11%. In the 2 patients who had abnormal acid exposure, in 1 patient the wrap was seen to be adequate, whereas in another patient it was seen to be loose. And patients with GERD esophagitis had low GERD-Q scores as well as normal acid exposure times. Therefore, according to the Lyon consensus, conclusive post-POEM reflux was seen in only 11% patients in our series. For anybody who wishes to understand more about this procedure, do visit this video which we presented at the ASG video plenary 2 years ago. To conclude, POEMF is feasible and safe, and initial outcomes at 12 months follow-up are quite impressive. The technique is still evolving and therefore modifications will be described. We need long-term prospective and comparative data and comparisons also with alternative reflux methods as well as with laparoscopic fundoplication. Whether this procedure should be performed as a concomitant procedure after the POEM or subsequently in case the patient develops reflux is a question we don't have answers for. Who is likely to develop post-POEM reflux? Identifying these key patients is possibly the most important fact. Thank you very much. Thank you for a patient hearing.